Okay, so we've been taking a look a lot at arcs, and we've seen that, in fact, we can compute the measure of an arc, which actually is identical to the measure of the central angle, and that measure, of course, is in degrees. But there's something else we can do. We could think about this arc as actually being a physical thing made out of some kind of a length of rope or some kind of thing, and we could actually ask for its exact length. If I were to take a ruler and somehow measure it, it'd be hard to do. It might be easier to take a rope and put it against that arc and then straighten it out and then measure that. That actually finds the length of the arc, which is sometimes referred to as, not surprisingly, the arc length. Now, arc length actually can be found in the exact analogous way as the area of a sector. Let's think about arc length now. We know that if we go once around the circle, the arc length of that is exactly the circumference, which we know is 2 pi r. So if you want to figure out the arc length of just a part of that, well, then you have to find the appropriate fraction. And so the formula for arc length is actually pretty easy. It's just 2 pi r, which is the formula for, the entire arc length, once around the whole thing, the circumference, and then multiply by the fraction that we're actually really traveling, which is the measure of the central angle, or equivalently, the measure of the arc itself divided by 360. So again, it makes a lot of sense if we just think about it. Let's take a look at an example together. So let's suppose that we want to find the arc length of an arc that has a measure of 40 degrees in a circle with radius 6 inches. So how would we proceed? Well, we'd use the formula. So we know that we have a radius of 6, so I have 2 pi times 6, which is 12 pi, times, now I got to figure out the appropriate proportion, which is going to be 40 divided by, appropriate ratio, I should say, 40 divided by 360. And so what does that work out to be? Well, that works out to be 4/3 pi. And what are my units here? Well, this is now a length, and it's measuring a length as if you were putting a ruler against it, and so my units are inches, not degrees. That's the measure. But here, with arc length, we see it's 4/3 pi inches. And now we can see exactly how to compute the length of not just the entire circumference, but even little pieces of circumference. Namely, we can now find arc length. Congratulations, and I'll see you soon.